Hi all, Planetside Agent here. Today I thought I'd just do a quick review or look at the Lex Atta aluminum alcohol stove. Uh, it's I just got it in the mail yesterday. I did do a quick test fire on it, found a couple of issues which I'll see if I corrected. But anyway, yeah, it's I got the idea. I forgot who I watched now. One of the YouTubers was reviewing some different alcohol stoves, and this was one of them. And I was kind of impressed that the thing is very light, and it's a Trangia type stove. It's got a sealed lid with a gasket. Oh, make sure you see that. See, it's got the jets, very similar to the classic Trangia, which I have right here. Although this one's brass and it's a lot more heavy duty. This one is, well, this one's pretty light, but I mean, it'll do the job. It's as good as some of the other aluminum cans. I'm sure it's probably even more sturdy than like the penny can stove, which is made out of a beer pop can. And then here's another version of the penny can that I make out of those smaller, like it says right there, the 7.5 fluid ounce pop cans. So it's a little bit smaller that I made. And that's, you know, every bit as durable as probably the best of all the alcohol stoves, the Fancy Feast. So anyway, just for weight, I'll just go over them here. I weighed them all out. The classic Trangia empty weighs 3.9 ounces or 110.5 grams. Okay, then I do have one of the A-Locks knockoffs or replicas of the Trangia. Very similar, actually very nice stove, well built. They're both well built. And this one's a little bit lighter. It's 3.6 ounces or 102.5 grams. So a little bit lighter, and it works just as well as the Trangia. Next, I have this one, the Lixada style, which is made out of aluminum, very light. The stove with the lid, it weighs 1 ounce or 28.34 grams. What's nice about it, it does come with a pot stand, and the pot stand alone is 0.3 of an ounce or 8.5 grams. So yeah, this and on top with the pot stand, you got 1.3 ounces or 36.85 grams. It does come with this little wire, kind of a keyring chain, which is kind of nice. It looks like stainless steel wire. They use it to keep these together. I don't really think it's necessary. You know, you could use it either way. I think if your hands are cold, it might be a little hard to manipulate. But it's a nice little feature. And if you add everything together, is all this pile here, the whole haul you get is 1.4 ounces or 39.68 grams. So pretty darn light when you compare to some of the others. Now, you know, probably for lightness, you get down to the these guys down here, the Fancy Feast. Now this Fancy Feast, I used, most of them use a, come on kid, tomato paste can for the pot stand portion. But I found that some of the caffeinated energy drink kind of cans are the same diameter, and they work just fine. And it's actually a little lighter. So with the one of these with the steel tomato paste can, those run about 0.8 ounces, where this one with the aluminum can is only 0.4 ounces. So that's 11.33 grams. So incredibly light. And like I said, I think these are probably the all-around best stoves. One, because it has a pot stand, which is integrated. So, you know, you can you don't need a separate pot stand, which is going to save you some weight. And that's one of the big benefits of it, you know. And the other benefit is it works very well in very cold temperatures down below zero, either centigrade or Fahrenheit. So it works in very cold temperatures, where the pressurized stove, these you've got to monkey with them a little bit more to heat them up in order so they'll vaporize, where this one just burns the fuel off, and it probably boils water as fast as any of them. So really all around, this is probably all around best stove. You got lightness, you got built-in pot stand, and works in all conditions. So but in the end, it's whatever you like. So, but I like this one just because it's light. It's just, the design is incredible. Oh yeah, and then you got your classic penny can stove, which is same weight as this one, and that's with the penny, because you know you got to weigh the penny if you have the penny can stove. And this one again is 0.4 of an ounce, and that's again 11.33 grams. And then here's the one from the smaller can, and I weighed it with the penny, and it's 0.3. So it's probably the lightest of any of them, and it's 0.3 ounces or 8.5 grams. So if you're looking for, but then again, these two, you got to come up with some kind of a pot stand, and that's going to add a little bit of weight. I didn't weigh one of the pot stands you make out of hardware cloth. Let's see. I got one right here. I'll just weigh it real quick since I didn't think about it. Let's see. Half an ounce. So, you know, if you had half an ounce, you're basically up to the weight of some of these other ones. So, anyway, like I said, that's and I mean they're all good. Now these are cheap. You can't beat the price on these back here, the homemade stoves. Now this one I bought off eBay, and it was $6.92 with shipping, which is not bad. What the heck? That's why, you know, I didn't mind getting one just to see what they're like. So anyway, so we'll kind of get into the stove portion of this after comparing it to some of the other alcohol stoves that are available. And like I said, it has a lid with the gasket. Now, one thing I did notice, this particular one I got, when I tested it out yesterday, I filled it with some alcohol, I sealed the lid, and then I shook it upside down, and it leaked. And I go, huh. Also, the threads weren't real smooth. They were kind of rough. So what I did was I took some steel wool and just kind of buffed around the threads on both the inside and the outside, and then kind of cleaned them up a little bit with a rag, and to make a smoother finish. And then the lid does go on a lot better after that. The other thing I noticed was this hole right here was kind of like pushed out, like maybe when they're drilling it, they tip the drill. And like I say, this is very lightweight stuff. So I think that might have been where this didn't seal very well. So I took a punch and kind of tried to punch that back down. So hopefully that does a trick. I haven't tested it since then. So I'm going to go ahead and throw some fuel in it and do another leak test. On the burn just fine. But I'm going to do a burn test today and kind of time it. I don't have a separate timer since, I don't. The timer I normally use is on the phone, and the phone's the camera, so I'm just going to have to eyeball it on the clock on the wall over here. So, but for starters, I'm going to go with an ounce of fuel, which is an ounce of fuel, and then I got my All-Day Camp aluminum pot here, and that with 2 cups of water, or 16 ounces. So let's go ahead and do this guy. Where's the ounces? There they are. Oops, I should do it down here where you can watch, but I had where I could see it. And there's, looks like an ounce. So, of course it'll spill. So there's an ounce of fuel in the stove. Hoping I'm keeping this all centered in frame. There we go. Screw that on, snug it up. I definitely want to snug it up because it leaked the last time. So let's see if we get any leakage this time. Yep, right there. See that? I don't know if you can see it or not, but it does leak. Even though it's got a gasket in there, it doesn't really seal very well. So as far as I would say that I wouldn't carry fuel in it like you can in the Trangia type stoves, which do seal very well. But I think, I don't know whether the oh, now I put it on too tight. It's gonna be hard to get off. So yeah, I wouldn't, unless you can come up with a different kind of gasket system, then maybe a different gasket than this one, which is just a little O-ring. You maybe even put a flat one in there that would seal better. But I think part of the problem is it's just really not that refined of a surface here, so you can get a good seal. It bends a little bit and leaks out. So if you're going to use this, you're probably just going to have to burn up all your fuel like you kind of have to do with these kind of stoves. Well, I guess you might be able to pour it back in the can, which you probably spill more than you save. So anyway, we didn't have much. I'll just for accuracy, I'll just put a couple of drops in from the drops that came out when I was testing. So, but anyway, let's fire this guy up and kind of see how long it takes to boil these 2 cups of water. I got an ounce of fuel, and then we'll see how long it burns. Some of the different stoves, they burn at different rates and different use different amount of fuel for the boil times. Gosh, wish I could remember which YouTuber I was watching. Maybe I'll go back through my history and see if I can find it. And if I do, I'll post a link to his tests in the description on this video. So anyway, let's fire this baby up, and we'll do a quick boil and runtime test. Like I say, it won't be real accurate because I'm just going to use the wall clock instead of a regular timer. There we go. One nice thing, if you buy this stove, I'm sure they will. I haven't tried it yet, but this pot stand will probably work on the Trangias, so that's pretty cheap. Some of these, you find they're kind of spendy, the little cross pieces for those. And this one, oops, let me get the timing going here if I can yak once I get this set up. Oh yeah, I've got to wait for it to wait for it to bloom. Sounds like it. Anyway, let's go with, looks like 34. And I'll write that down. I'm waiting for it to, we'll wait for it to blossom. Let me turn the lights off. It looks like it's about ready to go. Yeah, it looks like it's starting to blossom. Kind of slow to blossom. It's been at it over a minute now. There we go. Yeah, it looks like it's starting to blossom. So that was over a minute to blossom. Let's put the fuel on, and we'll just let this thing set. I'd probably... yeah, it's probably going to take a few minutes to do this. So what I'm going to do is, let's see how that flame looks. I think I'll drag the camera down real quick and look at the frame. Oops, look at the flame. There we go. It's kind of tough when I got the window but that flame looks pretty good. So burn away like most alcohol stoves. So anyway, I'm going to let it run, and then when it starts to water starts to boil, I'll get back to you. Okay, I finally got a boil out of this. When I turned the camera back on, it went back to photo, so I wasn't videotaping. So I had a really nice monologue there on the boil, and it didn't take. But anyway, yeah, I did do the timer off the wall clock, and it took 14 and a half minutes to boil 2 cups of water, which just seems like normal for these alcohol type stoves. I should go grab some of my other notes from some other burns I've done, and the length of the for the ounce of fuel, it burned out about a minute later, so it was about 15 and a half minutes worth of burn. So I guess if it boils your water and it's done, then you're not wasting a lot of fuel. So I don't know how long some of these other stoves are more efficient as far as how long they'll burn on an ounce of fuel. I guess I could do some tests, but I don't know if I'd probably say that for another video, since this one's probably going to start to get kind of longish. So anyway, let's take this off. So overall, I would say, you know, if you just want a lightweight Trangia type alcohol stove, inexpensive lightweight alcohol stove, and this one will do the job. Like I say, you do get the pot stands with it, which as part of your price, which is great. Like I say, it was a little less than $7, and that was with shipping. So hard to argue with this. And let's see. Like I said, the only downside, it really doesn't seal that well, and probably you can't really get the good thread and seal on aluminum that you can on brass or stainless steel or some of the other stoves. But anyway, what else to say about this? I'll probably think about it after I turn this off. But yeah, overall, it's really not a bad little stove. Seems to cool down pretty quick. And yeah, well, it's kind of cool. Let's just take a quick look at this pot stand. I think it will work. Yep, it'll work just fine in your Trangia. So this would be, if you wanted to use them in one of your other, sure it would work the same in this one. So if you want to use the pot stand that came with this stove on your other stoves, it worked just fine. So something to think about. But overall, I mean, except for the, it's a good little stove, all except for the part that just won't seal. So anyway, I'll call it quits for now. If I got something else to say, I'll just start another video. So anyway, I hope you all enjoyed the video, and we'll talk to you next time. Bye-bye.